Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear us and see us well. Hey, Catherine, how are you?
Hello, good morning, good evening. I'm currently in Helsinki where it's 6 p.m. I think you're quite a bit away from that, right?
Yes, it's 11 a.m. My time. All right. Hey, everyone. So I'm Shahar. I'm VP Product and Strategy here at EverAfter. And today we are going to talk about a topic that I really think is a really good timing to talk about. So working with partners, and this is the main topic of today's session, can be a multiplier to your go-to-market strategy. Whether you're working with referrals, resellers, implementers, channel technology partners, this could really help you to achieve your business metrics and a lot of other stuff. That's why building and focusing on the right partner program could actually be could play a significant role in achieving those outcomes. So that's why I'm super excited to have Catherine with us. Catherine from Supermetrics, which in a moment she will tell us about herself, to share some insights and wisdom about how to run and build an effective partner program A to Z. So, hey, Catherine, can you tell us a bit about yourself and about your role and Supermetrics?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thanks a million for having me here today, Shahar, and warm welcome to everybody who's joined us. So yeah, a little introduction to myself and to Supermetrics. So I'm currently in Helsinki, which is Supermetrics HQ, although we also have offices in Dublin, which is where I'm usually based, and then across the US and in JPAC as well. And in a nutshell, Supermetrics, we're a SaaS business and very much on a mission to help marketers make smarter, data-driven decisions. And we're doing this by allowing them to collect, disparate marketing data sources from paid and organic social or from other online or offline data sources to transform, centralize, blend that data and get it in a consumption-ready format in whatever storage layer they choose. And then have that be able to be fed into further analysis and activation, whether that's data-driven attribution straightforwardly or more advanced measurement frameworks like marketing mix modeling or incrementality testing. And we're doing this today for over 17,000 customers across the globe. The company's been on the go for over a decade now. But I joined at the beginning of this year. So I've been here for almost a year now as the head of partner sales. And really with a goal of building out a solution partner ecosystem to support our customers and our prospects and to grow alongside us. Because we found that, as our product has grown and matured, but also as marketing data has gotten more and more messy, there's just an increased need for additional services to support, kind of the solutions that we're bringing to market, particularly as we're getting into these more complex measurement frameworks, and then just as the volume of data and complexity of data is growing as well. So there's much more of a services need to be filled around the product now, and more of a business opportunity for partners in this space too. So I was really excited for the challenge to come in and kind of help to shape our partner strategy and to go about actually building an ecosystem of solution partners that can help us deliver this value for our customers and build value for themselves, and really kind of build a successful ecosystem that's part of our future growth.
Yeah, that sounds good. When we had a preparation for this webinar, we actually outlined how a partner journey should look like. And this is actually going to be the framework of today's session. We are going to talk about each step of this partner journey, and you will share with us a lot of best practices and from your experience, how our audience can nail down each part of this journey to ensure that the partner program is built as expected. So feel free. By the way, this webinar will be recorded, and you will get access to the recording, I guess, tomorrow. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them during here in the chat. I'm going to moderate them and ask them as we go. All right. So without further ado, let's start with the first step. So as we can see, the first step is actually defining the ideal partner profile. So Catherine, how do you approach that? What does it mean, and how we should approach such a stage?
Yeah, absolutely. So this was one of the first things that we sat down and mapped out when I started the business at the beginning of the year. And I think for anyone who's starting out on their partner journey, or even if you've already got some of this kind of muscle in place already and you haven't done this exercise yet, it's an incredibly important kind of piece of the foundations to do and do well. I think initially there can sometimes be a temptation to just like dive headfirst into partner recruitment to, put some numbers on the board or have some win stories to kind of share with your exec team. But they're not necessarily the numbers you'd want to have because, like, unless you're very, very clear on your partner profile and how this maps to your wider business value, you could have problems there in terms of how you're actually going to build that joint value because you may be out recruiting the wrong partners straight up. So again, I think there's probably three areas or three kind of focus areas where we kind of sat down and did this mapping exercise. The first being alignment with ideal customer profile and buyer personas, because ultimately your partners are going to be in service of these and should be aligned with these in terms of kind of going out and addressing the same, segments of the market or types of businesses. So for example, for us at Supermetrics, we have two kind of primary ideal customer profile buckets that we would kind of sell into. We have brands and agencies, and then within the brand portfolio, which is where we're spending a little bit more time from a partner point of view, we have two types of brand personas. So we would have our what we're calling kind of our commerce crafters, and these are like your traditional performance-driven marketers, very much focused on that kind of granular ROI level measurement, really kind of care about going deep on the numbers. But they're typically also digital first businesses. And so there's an awful lot of kind of online measurement in there. And, there's a specific type of partner that's going to resonate with and be able to serve that type of customer really, really well. And then in addition, we have our kind of what we call our brand builders. And these are more of your kind of bigger traditional legacy brands, like maybe your kind of Coca-Colas or your Kellogg's of the world, where they're not necessarily digital first or digital only. They're going to be marrying online data sources, offline data sources, but they also have just a ton more sophistication and complexity that they're going to want to bring into their marketing measurement on the output side as well as on the input side. So again, thinking through what are the types of partners that are going to be best placed to serve those types of brands. And then even within those customer profiles, both of them, there's going to be different personas that we're kind of engaging with, whether that's somebody who's like a catch-all marketing specialist in, kind of a smaller kind of brand company, or, in some of these bigger global brands, there might be bazillions of stakeholders that you'll be kind of engaging with, from paid to organic to analytics folks to BI folks, and figuring out how you can kind of engage with and speak with all of them. So just figuring out what that map looks like for your business and where partners can kind of most effectively map to that, I think is a really, really important first step. I mentioned there that we sell to agencies, and that's an interesting one from a partnerships perspective for us, because some of those agencies actually have scope to become partners for us. But equally, we found that there is a maybe more limited kind of set of use cases for partners to come in and support those agencies as well, just in terms of plugging critical resource gaps. So we've actually kind of evolved a partner strategy that's quite delineated between our brand and agency customers. And there's going to be kind of various flavors of that delineation for any business as they're getting started. So I think kind of having that alignment straight off the bat is going to be, a useful thing to get right. And then the next thing is kind of going deeper on like, well, what are the capabilities and competencies that your partners are going to need to have to service your customers and prospects effectively? So what technologies do they need to be conversant in? What are the skill sets that they need to be able to have and build and market with you all? So for example, for us, one of the big kind of service areas for our partners has been very much around data warehouse. So again, as these volumes of marketing data have grown, our customers are needing to store their data somewhere centrally, and data warehouses aren't just like kind of one click and set them up. Like, I couldn't do it. It typically requires a bunch of kind of specialized expertise. And then many of our customers are in the Google ecosystem, so that's the BigQuery data warehouse. So that's a really important part of partner discovery for us, is understanding what are the partner capabilities in data warehousing, data engineering, data architecture. Do they have competencies or certifications in BigQuery? Are they listed with Google? So again, you can kind of see where this is going. Once we have that foundation in place, we can kind of build a whole set of like recruitment criteria and discovery questions around figuring out what these capabilities and competencies are, this can absolutely help us when it comes to like filtering out the right candidates to recruit. But they're also kind of good areas for us to kind of prod on and go deeper on when it comes to that initial discovery call with a partner, figure out where they are again from a capabilities and standards point of view. And then actually they'll also translate into onboarding as well, because once we validated that somebody has these capabilities and they have these competencies, we want to layer on the Supermetrics knowledge on top of that. So again, just being really, really crisp on like where do partners add the most value. So we've nailed that down to kind of 4 core areas for us. So we have kind of implementation from other tools, or kind of migration from other tools being one thing. So kind of reconfiguring pipelines. We have the data warehousing piece, absolutely. We have kind of attribution and reporting, whether that's the kind of foundational reporting or those more advanced reporting capabilities. And then kind of ongoing measurement or ongoing maintenance is kind of the 4th typical bucket. So again, we're thinking through our partner recruitment with that in mind. And I would say the last thing to think about also is like, what are the size of partner businesses that you might want to engage with? If you're just starting out, maybe with a few limited exceptions, maybe if you're working in cybersecurity, you're going to want to go after global system integrators straight off the bat, because so much of that business is channel driven. But other than that, like it's probably realistic to assume that you're going to be going in and targeting maybe more boutique or like tier 2 or tier 3, like kind of agencies, consultancy, systems integrators, whatever partner business might be, to begin with. And that's okay. Like there's nothing wrong with that. And I think especially if you're looking to kind of, anchor that growth with a partner and have your early partners kind of super engaged and super committed, starting small can often be a much easier way of doing that.
All right. So a lot of food for thought. So before we actually start the plan, we need to plan what we're after. So let's say that we did the exercise and we now know what type of profile and capabilities and even company size we're looking after. How do we actually do this recruiting? And I really like that you use the term recruiting, because it's like hiring or like recruiting an employee. It's just to recruit a partner. So how can we identify and actually recruit those partners?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think like defining the categories obviously is also always it's just the first step. So for us at Supermetrics today, like we've boiled our kind of ideal partner profiles down across 3 categories. So we have like our agencies, we have our consultancies, and we have our systems integrators. My previous company, it was more like consultancy, system integrator, business process outsourcers. So, I mean, once you have the categories, you've got kind of a reasonable idea like where to get started. And I would say the first place to look for good fit partners is like inside the 4 walls of your company. Figuring out, are there, first of all, customers who are going to be really good fits to actually become partners? So for us, we've got a few agencies with whom we're looking to kind of deepen our relationship now, who previously would have had more of a customer relationship and are now kind of moving into partner. Equally, if you've got a sales team, if you've got a customer success team, if you've got go-to-market folks in the business, mind their networks, put some kind of research feelers out there, ask them what are the best partners that they've worked with in previous roles, like, who can they introduce you to? That can be so important as well in those kind of early foundational stages, because, if you're bringing in partners who your sellers already have built that trust and rapport with, that thing takes time when you're building it from scratch. So having those kind of warm referrals is really, really helpful. So I would say, again, like just in terms of building that trust with your sales team, bringing them with you on that journey, involving them in this early build can be really, really impactful. I would say in terms of like inbound partner acquisition, like obviously having a marketing landing page that speaks to like the value that you're going to build for your partners, how, what you're going to give them in terms of growth opportunities, what you're hoping for them to bring to you. And, kind of offering that up as an external kind of story is hugely impactful, making it really, really clear and easy for partners to apply as well. And guaranteeing that you're going to respond to them and respond quickly. That'll kind of help build the inbound muscle a little bit, but you'll also want to make sure you're kind of linking up with your content marketing folks, like whoever manages your LinkedIn. Maybe you'll want to run some kind of content marketing activity around that then as well, just to amplify that message. Again, thinking through who those ideal partner profiles are. If you're going to put a bit of paid spend behind it, make sure that backs into who you're targeting from a business point of view. Which again kind of is a nice segue to my last kind of point, which is really just around outbounding to partners. Like, again, you've spent all of this time and effort kind of putting together your ideal partner profile, who you want to go after. The last thing you want to do then is kind of go broad strokes with your outbound and just, send out these massively kind of broad, unfocused cadences or outbound acquisition campaigns to any partner, anywhere, anytime. So again, this can take a little bit of time to kind of pull together those lists of target partners. It's also, from an outbound point of view, really worth taking a look across your technology ecosystem and seeing what kind of alignment you might be able to pull from partners who are partnering with your partners, for want of a better way of putting it.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, for us at Intercom, this would have been HubSpot partners in the early days because we were selling to marketers, and so we're HubSpot partners. We had an integration with HubSpot, and so there was a really nice better together story or kind of angle that we could bring to that targeted outbound. Similarly for us here today at Supermetrics, we have a presence in the Google ecosystem. Google have a ton of solution partners. Again, what are some of the kind of joint value hooks we can kind of use to engage with partners who are in that ecosystem already? And again, talk about that better together story with Google. So I think the more targeted, the better with outbound, particularly as you're getting started out. It can be a little bit trickier to stand up, but you'll ultimately get better bang for your buck in terms of, the returns on those outbound campaigns.
Okay. I do want, so I think that the page on the website, even if it's something very like minimal, I think it is very important because if you have like a partner that will enter your website, they want to see something that speaks for them. So even if it's just like main advantages or how different partners can work with, I think this could really, really help you to help them feel like they're not the only partners that you have. It's like a matter of like professionalism that they might look after.
Yeah, 100%. And like the more kind of early testimonials and quotes and things you can get, the better.
Yeah, we have here a question. So when you're defining your IPP, are you looking for solutions or technology partners that are on the same stage of growth as you, or are you looking for a partner with an organization that is more or less mature than your current organization? So you actually had a note about that, but yeah, if you can reiterate on that.
I just saw who this question is from, and hi, John. It's nice to know that you're here. John and I were actually partnered way back, so and this is actually a fun one because I think when John's former company and my former company partnered, we were probably at about the same stage of growth. I want to say we were both around kind of Series B, kind of startup, moving into scale up, and I think we were going through an awful lot of the same kind of common challenges in terms of GTM, but it also meant that we were roughly the same stage of maturity in terms of how we were actually able to engage with each other, how we were able to, kind of collaborate on sales and marketing initiatives. And that can be really, that could be a real game changer. Like if you both have kind of common ability to like kind of invest. So I think it's worth thinking about for sure. That being said, I think there's an awful lot to be said for kind of, looking at how you recruit smaller kind of high commitment partners for a business, particularly like if you yourself are at that kind of Series B, Series C stage. And I know for us today at Supermetrics, like quite a few of our partners are at the earlier stages. They're, they're in maybe their first 18 months to 2 years of life as kind of standalone consultancies. But what we're finding actually, and maybe this is just a post-COVID trend, like the experience and the bench and the depth of expertise in these partners is like unparalleled, because it's folks who spent kind of years working at, kind of larger businesses like, the Salesforces and the Marketos of the world, or they've worked in like massive agencies. And they've now kind of brought together these just like best in class crack teams. So even though on paper they might look small, like the expertise is fantastic and the skill set is really, really strong. But B, they're like really committed and really hungry. And I think those can be really exciting partnerships as well, because we're kind of figuring out how we can leverage those collectively to fuel their individual growth and our collective growth. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, I think that you said hungry, and I think this is a really good thing to look after. You want the partners that will be hungry to succeed, and it might be that they will be smaller than your organization, but they will be with extreme motivation to prove that you should bring them more and more business.
Yeah,
Um,
100%. But like, I mean, it doesn't matter the size of the partner at the end of the day. Like, accountability is key. I think it's just the expectations that you might be able to set with a larger partner might
yeah.
be, slightly different to expectations that you would set with somebody who's maybe earlier on their journey. Certainly when it comes to like big bang, like
Yeah.
co-marketing or co-selling, for example.
All right. So we know which partners we're targeting, and we also build some opportunities for them to basically submit or, basically to be considered as a partner. So the next phase is the actual qualification and the mutual alignment to make sure that the partner and the vendors can and should do business together. So what are the critical steps of this qualification process to ensure this mutual alignment?
Yeah, I mean, this is such a good question. And I think this might have been a mistake I made early in my partnerships career was to kind of, it's definitely not a transactional sales motion. Like you can't just get a partner on a call and send out a partner agreement and be like, hey, presto, we've got a partnership now. I think there's an awful lot to be done before that to
Yeah.
ensure that there's a fit, to ensure that there's alignment, to ensure that there's like mutual commitment to move forward and actually build something together. So I think running really good discovery on your first call with a partner should absolutely be paramount. Like you don't want to get on that call and just, kind of bang through a slide deck and maybe take 1 to 2 questions at the end. I think if you've got their interest and you've got them on the hook, this is really an opportunity for you to go deeper and learn about their business. Because I think it should be about them and not you on the first call. What are their priorities? What are their challenges? What's keeping them up at night? Where do they see the biggest growth opportunities for their business? And then make it kind of really clear and easy for them to see how your product or your software can help fuel that growth. Ideally, then if you've got some win stories or kind of examples, you can talk about how you made this work with other partners. That's huge. Like that's fuel to the fire for that discussion. And then that should hopefully kind of open up the conversation and help you figure out, well, what would this joint value proposition look like for us specifically? Where would this kind of sit on the map in terms of those capabilities we spoke about earlier? And what might be the give gets that we could kind of look to achieve in terms of things like mutual deal flow or kind of working together on things like account mapping exercises, opportunity sizing exercises, and then figure out where you go from there. And again, like that mightn't be sending out a partner agreement straight off the bat. There might be kind of deeper technical discovery needed. And this is somewhere typically we don't do it for all partners because some of them are coming in with some domain expertise already. But for somebody who's brand new to a tool like Supermetrics or to the kind of idea of marketing data pipelines, I'll sometimes suggest setting up a separate kind of technical discovery session, and I'll bring in one of our solution engineers to actually kind of give them a deeper look under the hood, so to speak. Because again, it'll just kind of help round out how they make that informed decision on, how heavy they're going to invest in a partnership. And I think that makes an awful lot of difference, again, to do that upfront. Particularly for potentially strategic partners where it makes sense to do so. And this can absolutely take weeks. And I think again, if you're thinking about the opportunity size and what you're looking to build ultimately, it's worth being kind of realistic about the expectations you might set for yourself here. But if the value and alignment are not there before you kind of put pen to paper, ultimately, you're going to end up with again a bunch of signed partners who are delivering nothing and doing nothing. Which is obviously not what you want, particularly at those early stages.
Yeah, and I think that in some cases, if you will work with the wrong partner, your company is exposed because eventually they should embrace your. I mean, they represent your brand and your company in a way. So you want to make sure that they do it right.
Yeah, absolutely. If they do it right or they don't do it at all, really.
Yeah, and this actually it's I think it's a good segue to the next stage, which is okay. We recruited the right partner and we did the qualification and we sent them this agreement and they're ready to start. But before they actually start working with our customers, we said that there's like two type of onboarding: the technical onboarding and the go-to-market onboarding. So how do you structure that to ensure that from the first moment they're actually in front of your customers, either as a referral or reseller or as an implementer? How do you make sure that they know what they're doing?
Yeah, it's so important. Like, I mean, both of them are equally important as well. And again, depending on the size or scope of the partner that you're working with, you might have the same folks doing both of the tracks. or you might have like a set of GTM folks doing the GTM track and a set of technical folks and doing the technical track. So yeah, first of all, be really clear on who's going to do what, and what value they're going to get from it, and how that's going to plug into your mutual success plan and, you know, your kind of various ownership areas across the partnership. Really important to have that visibility up front. I would say like both tracks are equally important. The GTM one, there tends to not be as much variance in our experience, or certainly in my experience in my last company and this one, in terms of who sees what, based on the partnership. You know, the core kind of messages you'll want to land there are, you know, kind of the pitch, the value messaging, at a high level, kind of the storytelling around the solution, and then the kind of positioning, again, a little bit more detail about the kind of ICPs, the personas, and the differentiators and kind of competitive landscape. I would say that's fairly universal across all of the partner categories and all of the partner types. So for us, we have that as just kind of a standardized module. There's not a ton of variance on it. For the technical side of things, though, I think this is where things get interesting, and just where the ability to have customization and tailored onboarding journeys is just so impactful. So as I mentioned earlier, like there could be various different flavors of partner capability and competency that might be relevant, based on, you know, what technologies they work with, what services they offer, and, you know, any of these, most of these would be of value for Supermetrics and Supermetrics customers. But the last thing we want to do is put them through a bunch of onboarding that's like not relevant to them, or doesn't fit with their skill set, or is actually never going to be kind of use in the projects that we will work on together in the future, or on their referrals that they'll bring to us. So to go back to that data warehousing example, you know, a partner who works in the Google ecosystem is going to have certifications and competencies on BigQuery. So we don't want to put them through onboarding for Microsoft Azure, because that's probably going to annoy them. It's going to waste their time, and it's absolutely not going to be relevant. So what we'll typically do here is, when we kick off a kind of new partner activation, it'll just be after they've signed their agreement. We actually have a Slack workflow that we work through here, where you know, my team will add in the details of the partner, you know, their Salesforce account, where they're located, who their partner manager is, and, you know, what their capabilities and competencies are. And that triggers a workflow then to get them set up with their onboarding kits, so that when they log into EverAfter for the first time, they'll see a set of onboarding kind of checklists that are super relevant to them, to the capabilities they have, the work they do today, and the work that they're going to do with us. So I think, you know, having a robust technical curriculum in place is absolutely important, but you want to make sure that it's super relevant as well, and that it's actually going to appeal to them and be of use.
Yeah, I think that, and it could be whenever we work with partners, with employees, with customers, when the content is relevant and personalized, it increases the chances of the content to actually be consumed. So I know that you're leveraging EverAfter for a lot of that, and maybe we can share some information about that, on how you leverage EverAfter with your partners. We also prepared some screenshots. So would you like me to share them, and then we can walk them through to show how this looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. Like we can take a look through a couple of these examples, and I can kind of voice over, you know, what our approach is for each of them. So yeah, this first one is the first thing that a partner sees when they log into the Supermetrics partner portal. So they'll get a little personalized greeting. This is also customized from their partner manager. So you'll see here in this example, it's from me, because I'm attached to whatever that record is in the CRM. But this is the beauty of the Supermetrics, or EverAfter and Supermetrics Salesforce connector, is that we can personalize this to be from the account owner. So we're like creating that personal connection, or like maintaining that personal connection all the way from discovery through to onboarding. And then again, the success criteria, which I think that kind of flows through to the next slide here. This actually walks them through their checklist. So here's all of the things that they're going to do as they're getting set up and started, in their Sandbox account, in the actual onboarding kit itself, and then that they have the opportunity to schedule a technical Q&A with somebody from the partner success team as well. And then on the next slide, this is this list of focus products, as I mentioned. So, you know, again, here we've got somebody who's focused on Looker Studio and data warehouses and cloud studio, or cloud storage. Those are the competency areas that they have. And so again, this is all of the onboarding content that they'll go through that pertains to that area. And you'll see there we can kind of add in like other products if we need to further down the line. And then we have areas for like further collaboration as well. And then I think on the next slide, we'll see our, kind of additional assets, collateral, stuff that they can kind of take away or come back and kind of reference again over time. So once the onboarding kit is done, they can kind of still come back in and access all of these resources as well. So that's everything that our solution partners will see in their onboarding kits today. But it's also worth noting, actually, we have another part of our partnerships org here, which is our affiliate partner team. And they've also started to experiment with Supermetrics for their kind of affiliate success as well. So again, for affiliates, as they come in and start to work with us, this is a nice way for us to be able to put kind of those important resources and pieces of collateral in front of them to kind of keep them engaged and keep them out there hunting.
Cool. I think this is a really, really good representation of how a partner portal could look like. And I think that if we go and look at the onboarding success criteria and then under the focus products, instead of sending like action items or like long emails with, hey, this is what we need to do, you actually provide them with everything they need here. They could actually track their progress. Once they click on something, it takes them exactly to where it should be. So for example, under the focus product. So first of all, this is prioritized based on what they're relevant, what is relevant for them. But you actually did a lot of great work in helping them closing the loop. So let's say that they need to get started with Looker Studio. So there's a short video that they need. There's a guide that they need to read. They need to sign up to webinar, and you even mark that this is an optional, and then they can read from the template gallery. So with those like action items, action buttons, you help them to close the loop and understand what's left to do here. So I think this is a really, really good representation with all of the sales collateral. And of course, you can customize the content based on the type of partner and based on the area of focus. So if you will have a partner that is focused only on Google product, then all of the content and resources will support that. So for them, it feels like very personalized, and it's on your brand, and it looks like another page of Supermetrics.
Yeah, I think that the look and feel is obviously a huge part of it. And I think the individual partner experience is a huge part of it. But I would say, actually, if we kind of zoom out and have like an umbrella look at our entire partner ecosystem, what's also helpful for us as a team to see is for all of the partners who are currently using their onboarding kits, what does that actually look like in a given week? So we'll kind of do a little weekly pull up here as a team in Slack and look at, who's come through their onboarding, who's gotten all their checklists, but hasn't booked a technical Q&A yet. What do we need to do to kind of nudge them? Like, do they have additional questions? Who's maybe not making progress, and how should we be kind of checking in and supporting them? And then for the folks who have kind of come through, is there anything additional that we need to add into the kits to kind of support them based on what we learned in those final Q&As? So definitely helpful, hopefully, from an individual partner experience point of view. But in terms of managing this at scale across the team, it's really helpful to be able to kind of dive in and see, like, at a macro level, who's doing what, who's engaged, who's not, who might be stuck.
All right, so we onboarded our partners on the GTM and also on the technical aspect. So after that, the shift, we are shifting towards the growth phase. So if you can share with us some top strategies on how to drive this growth with partners to ensure this engagement and like the continuity of the relationship, basically.
Yeah, definitely. I would say this probably could be a whole webinar in of itself. But in a nutshell, I would kind of boil this down to like external touch points and internal touch points. And so externally with partners, as you're starting out, you mightn't have like a massive multi-tier partner program. But at the same time, you might want to start to think about like who you'll build out like mutual success plans with on a one-to-one basis, who you might be running more kind of scaled engagement plays with. But for the folks who you have like those mutual plans with, kind of setting up a regular kind of cadence call. We use shared Slack channels. They seem to be all the rage these days for partner collaboration, and which again is great because you can kind of use those to like pin documents and you can add other folks in as you need to. But just thinking through what that like high touch engagement model might look like with your higher potential or higher priority partners, as the case may be. For kind of more scaled communication, then thinking through like what are the maybe newsletter touch points or webinar touch points that you would want to set up with more long tail partners. Ensuring that you're kind of setting up kind of roles and responsibilities in terms of getting partners access to maybe early access features or beta features, especially if you're looking to kind of get them involved and getting feedback early, or maybe working with some pre-launch customers as well. And then just regular cadence of product updates, like keeping them informed, keeping them up to date. Again, you can kind of drop additional enablement content around that into the hub as you move along. And then setting up your co-selling and co-marketing motions with their GTM team. So making sure that you have the right sales folks chatting to the right sales folks, you have the right marketing folks chatting to the right marketing folks, and you're starting to think through like how you kind of look to build that engine. This is typically where, you know, things like account mapping tools might come into play as well, like cross beams. You can start to identify mutual target accounts or prospects or opportunities in each other's pipeline. But I would say the flip side of that is like really strong internal structures. Because if you've built all of that stuff externally with your partners and you don't have good stakeholder relationships internally, you're still probably on a, you know, kind of a bad path, for want of a better way of putting it. So ensuring that you have alignment internally with your sales leaders, your marketing leaders, your success leaders, that they understand the strategy, they understand what you're building and the why. And you know, they understand where these partners are going to add value to the work that those teams are doing. And, you know, kind of underpinning that should be a regular cadence of internal enablement for your sellers as well, and for your marketing folks and for your success folks, but particularly for anyone who's on the GTM front lines. It's really important for them to understand at the highest level, like, why partner? Why would we work with partners? Why would I bring a third party in to kind of help work with my deal? Or where are these deals coming from third parties? Who are they? Then kind of at the second level, kind of breaking it down more to like the value that partners are adding for like use case X or product Y or territory Z. And then kind of the third level, once you've kind of nailed those first two levels, should be, well, like, here is, you know, partner ABC, and, you know, here's a little bit more about them and how they work specifically, and here's their team, and here's how you are going to work together. So thinking through what your enablement looks like at all three of those levels. And just making it really clear and really repeatable and really easy for them to work with partners as well, you know, not having them feel like they need to jump through a ton of hoops to bring a partner in a deal or to work a partner sourced deal. So I think if you can kind of have both of those kind of things, the external work and the internal work feeding off each other, you know, this is the potential to transform into something really, really great.
Yeah, I think that also creating those success stories, either for a partner of why it's beneficial for them to partner with you, but also for the sellers of why it's important to have partner in the loop, or what the advantages of doing that. So even if it's like sharing like a case study or a success story, showing the for example, the generated pipeline from partners. So there are a lot of like either qualitative or quantitative metrics that you should surface at your organization, so they will understand the benefit of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the closer you can kind of stitch into how your org is reporting on, you know, kind of revenue in general, the better. So being able to talk about things like exactly that, like impact on win rate or close time or deal size, those are hugely impactful stories to be able to tell for sure.
And I know that also for the growth phase, you're leveraging EverAfter for some parts of that. So if you can share a bit about that.
Yeah, I would say this is probably more of a work in progress for now, for sure. You know, the goal is to have EverAfter become kind of a central interface for our partners. So containing the onboarding kits that they do now, those kind of activation checklists, deal or lead registration forms that kind of back into Salesforce, and then just an interface for collateral and for takeaways as well. I would say kind of roadmap items for us then would be actually taking those success plans and building them into EverAfter. So again, they can be something that is kind of continuously maintained in there, where we're checking off specific milestones or specific deliverables across both teams. Ongoing deal management beyond that initial deal registration as well, so the partners can kind of see where they're sourced or the, you know, kind of their submitted leads are at. And then measuring partner satisfaction or partner NPS, so kind of surveys or ongoing satisfaction as well. I think at the partner level, that's going to be helpful to be able to measure. Obviously, on the customer level, the hope is that we're also able to measure satisfaction with partner services there. But certainly within EverAfter, the partner success piece being hugely helpful.
Yeah, I think that understanding their satisfaction and maybe to identify potential risks.
Yeah.
And I think that what's interesting in that is that even under this A to Z partner program that we've defined, there are actually multiple programs that should live in parallel, whether it will the program of qualifying and registration of the partners, whether it's how to onboard a partner. This is a definitely different program that you need to deliver, how to enable them or to run their academy on new contacts from the partner, all of the deal registration and tracking. This is another program that you should work with partner. How you involve partner in a customer implementation. We call it partner-led implementation. So this is another program that you need to work on. And of course, the partner portal with all of the different resources and assets and collateral. So I think this is something that is worth considering. So by building the program, you actually need to surface multiple layers to make it successful.
Yeah, 100%.
We do have time for one last question. So reflecting on the entire partner journey, I know that people are now starting to plan their 2025 plans. So what's like the one piece of advice you'd give them on how to plan their partner portal program, for 2025?
I would say like it kind of comes down to partner experience. Like if you're thinking about like defensible differentiators you can build for your business, features get copied really easily, but partner experience maybe is something that's more difficult to copy. And it can also be something that puts you ahead of the competition or will help you win over partners from the competition if that's something that you're keen to do. So it's something that you should consider investing in early, whether that's people or technology or both. Because I think as you're starting out on a partner's ecosystem building journey, it is the point where you should do things that don't scale a little bit, but also think about how you can set yourself up for future success. And this is not just for partnerships teams either. Anyone and everyone who's going to be partner facing in your wider go-to-market org should have this in their crosshairs as something that they're also really keen to do. Because at the end of the day, if you're delivering a great experience to a partner as they're onboarding, like it's not just going to get you one successful opportunity or one successful referral on the board, like it could be a force multiplier. So, if you're doing that for 10 partners and they each bring you 10 ops in the next year, all of a sudden you've got a pretty compelling new revenue line coming into the business. So yeah, really just thinking about those multiplier effects that a great partner experience can have.
Cool. And on the other end as well, when a partner has a bad experience, so they will never give you a like referral. So I think that it's definitely something that worth considering. All right, Catherine. First of all, I really want to thank you for joining us and sharing. And I hope that everyone can see that you have such an amazing experience and insights to share, and the fact that you build like this structured approach. So I think that whatever company size you're at, and partners is a channel that you would consider. I think that working in this framework could be really be beneficial for you. If people are interested in maybe to get in touch with you, what would be the best way for them to reach out?
Well, absolutely. Like, very happy for folks to come and find me on LinkedIn and ping me. And I should say, like, I'm not the only one holding the pen on all of this work that we've been building out here. There's a team of folks who've been involved in kind of building out the finer detail of our EverAfter setup in the background, and who are kind of working on our partner success as well. So if I'm not the right person to answer the question as it pertains to what we've done here at Supermetrics, I'll definitely put you in touch with the folks who will. But yeah, drop me a note on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to chat.
All right. Cool. All right. So with that, the webinar, we will wrap up the webinar. So thank you again, Catherine, for joining us. It was a true pleasure, and I hope you all a good rest of your day.
You're very welcome. Thanks a million.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.